You're still I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
You're gonna leave and come back in.
Yeah.
Alrighty. What the heck? Okay.
Oh, he's having the same thing that happened to me, it feels like. Our Skype chat is just messed up.
Yeah. Welcome to our episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. Max Chadwick alongside Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons doing our top 10 offensive tackles in the 2022 NFL Draft, continuing our positional ranking series. Make sure you guys go check out all of our past videos that we've done to our top 10 quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, top 5 tight ends, and now our top 10 offensive tackles. It should be a lot of fun. Really good tackle class. I like the tackle class a lot. Before we start the video, though, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft. We're on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast. So please rate us 5 stars and subscribe and check out the merch store. So I will kick us off with our number 10 offensive tackle, and that is Tyler Smith, the Tulsa offensive tackle, who I have right now is OT8 in this draft. I really like Tyler Smith, man. He's kind of like a late riser, I think, for a lot of people. Not a lot of people were talking about him, and he comes in this year, had a really good year. He's had a really good career. He tested out really well at the combine as an 88th percentile athlete, which is fantastic. And for my money, it's tough to say. He might be the second best run blocking tackle in this draft, behind a guy that we'll get to in a little bit. But Tyler Smith, man, is an absolute bully in the run game. A lot like that guy who we're going to get to later. I keep mentioning him, but he just wants to kill whoever is across from him. And I love that mentality from Tyler Smith. He's only a junior, too, which is really good. 6'5", 324, so decent size for the position. Now, his pass blocking could use a little bit of work. It wasn't terrible by any means, though. But what you're getting day one is one of the best run blocking tackles in this draft. And for a team that runs the ball a lot, I know the Ravens already filled their need at tackle, but any other team that runs the ball not and needs a tackle, I think Tyler Smith can fill a pretty good need. And it's like a developmental piece maybe that you can get on day 2 and, hope he develops as a pass blocker down the line, but maybe play him at right tackle a little bit, and he's just going to be a mauler in the run game. So Tyler Smith's tape was, I hate saying it, but it's one of the most fun to watch of any tackles in this draft.
Why is that such a bad thing to say? Like, I've never understood.
It's a PFF tailgate who we love, Austin and Mike, and they do a fun to watch thing because they think, and they're right, honestly, and I used to say it all the time, and I stopped saying it. Fun to watch is just not a thing. Like I could say anyone in this draft is fun to watch, and you can't be like, no, dude, like you're wrong. It's like, no, I mean, it's just football. So saying someone's fun to watch is just, it's not like a good or bad thing. It's just like, cool, man.
It's
like,
just a thing.
It's not a take. The whole thing is just not a take. Me saying Tyler Smith's a great run blocker, that's a take. Me saying he needs help in pass protection, that's a take. But fun to watch, it's just like cool. Like, I don't know, man. Like, all right, not really a big take.
All right, that makes sense. Alrighty, so at our number 9 spot, we have the gentle giant himself, Daniel Faalele from Minnesota. I'm higher on this guy than they are. They both have him OT10, and I have him OT7. I mean, you're taking a swing for the fence with this guy. Well, first off, before I talk about his ceiling, let's talk about his frame. This guy, you think Evan Neal is a large man? You think Jordan Davis is a large man? That's funny compared to this guy. This guy is what, 6'9", 380? Somewhere around there?
Yes, I think 6'8", 384 is what he came in the combine. 6'8",
384, which is very, very large. That is a very, very big boy. And with that, also freak athlete. So yeah, why not just throw everything else on there? What's the downside? This guy's technique is not polished whatsoever. He's one of the rawest tackles in this draft. Probably more raw than one of the guys we'll get to later in this video, spoiler alert. But he's a project. He's a project tackle. He kind of gives me Spencer Brown vibes just a little bit, but I think he's a bit more. Is he more raw than Spencer Brown? Probably not. No. But I think his ceiling is higher than Spencer Brown. Even though he didn't test as good of an athlete as Spencer Brown, he's still very athletic. He's still bigger. wasn't particularly great at the Senior Bowl, which is really unfortunate because I had this guy's OT5, and then after the Senior Bowl, I had to bump him down a little bit because he just wasn't really that good. He was getting dusted by people. I mean, Myjie Sanders bull rushed him and shoved him on the ground. Like, you're 6'8" and you're 384, 85. Like, you shouldn't be getting bull rushed to the ground, except like if it's Jordan Davis doing it to you. Like, you shouldn't be. Like, you're that big. You should not be getting pushed to the ground, frankly, by an edge rusher who's not particularly big. At least he wasn't at the combine.
No.
So I may be kind of crapping on this guy a lot, but at the end of the day, he arguably has the highest ceiling of any tackle in this draft. This guy is a freak athlete, Australian background also. Did some background research into him. Was born in Australia, played rugby. I know Nick probably likes that a lot. Yeah, there we go. There we go. But played rugby in Australia, moved to the United States, started playing football in high school. I think it was high school. I'm not too sure. I think it was his senior year of high school, and then he was solid, and then just never really developed. But when you're looking at this guy, you're looking at the ceiling, and if you can't develop this guy, there's no reason at all why this guy can't be a top 5 tackle in the league, because that's his ceiling. Like, you don't see guys this big move as fast and just so swiftly and fluid as him. Like, you just don't see it with offensive tackles. So at the end of the day, I think this guy can go round 2. I know these guys probably don't think so. Maybe they think they're kind of like day 3, maybe even 3rd round. But if you take this guy late day 2, or if you take this guy late 2nd round, I'm not going to be against it.
The only thing I would say is that a lot of people, because I know when people see the graphic and Donnie mentioning the freak athleticism, he did test out really bad at the combine, but like the athleticism, I think it's only a combine thing for a lot of people. It is more than that. Like on-field athleticism, I think for Faalele is better than what he tested out. I think it was a 24th percentile. Like, so it was bad.
Real quick. Like, listen, I understand he didn't test amazingly. That's probably something I should have mentioned. I had it right here. Mm-hmm. But I just don't – it's not that I don't care. It's that I'm not concerned. Like, I'm really not. It shows on the field. It shows in everything except the combine. Like, it's like Treylon Burks. Like, Treylon Burks didn't test amazingly. He was just whatever. But the athleticism shows on the field, which it's like, in my opinion, that means more. Like, a good example for me would be like Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. ran a 4.4 at his combine. He does not, at least prime OBJ, maybe now, but prime giant OBJ, when he actually ran, he looked like a low 4.3 runner. Like, he was running 4.31 probably when he was on the field. But the combine ran a 4.4. So it is what it is. Like, the athleticism shows on the field and it shows everywhere else except the combine. I'm not that concerned about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I know on the graphic you're going to see Donnie saying freak athlete and you see 24th percentile. You're like, what the hell what are we saying here? I
should have mentioned that.
It's a different thing. Yeah, for sure.
The number 8 tackle on our board is Kellen Diesch from Arizona State. We've talked about him very briefly on the show before. This guy had a very good combine. He's going to be a 9.75 RAS. I don't know what I call that because it's right in the middle. I guess we'll round up 98th percentile athlete, which for me, like, I had him as a 2nd round grade. Feeling really good about that right now. Ran up sub 4.940. Like, this guy is a great athlete, and for my money, behind Charles Cross, 2nd most polished tackle in this draft class, in my opinion. I think in terms of his technical ability and pass pro, feet, hands, balance, checks, all those things, hips, ability to stay with defenders, slides well, scans well. Everything checks out for me there. I think as a left tackle, pass protecting day 1, like, this guy is excellent for teams like Jacksonville, who just need to hit on a guy who can pass protect, and they're probably not going to take it with their first pick because they brought back Cam Robinson. This is like the type of guy you should be looking for. The issue for him is his body type is very weird. He's a 6'7", 301. He came in. He's kind of a stick. Like, he is a basketball player size type guy. He doesn't have, kind of the power base that you can use to anchor against power rushers. And at times he's good. I think he has the length. And I think he's good at avoiding letting guys get inside his shoulder pads. But when it does happen, he gets bull rushed. And it does kind of take away from his ability to use his leverage as a blocker in run game. I think he has the athleticism, obviously has the athleticism to flip his hips around, create walls and get in the way of defenders in the run game and create lanes. But if you need this guy to move defenders, he's not as likely to do it just because of his body type. And I wouldn't be asking him a whole lot to be adding a bunch of weight. He's added a little bit already, but I wouldn't want him to go much more than 310 because I think the way he's played, like what I've seen on tape from him, to me is like that's an NFL starter like right away. The concern is only going to be going against power rushers if he steps in day one and he just struggles big time against that type of player, you're going to have a player who week to week is going to be up and down. But I think there's a chance that doesn't actually matter at all, and that he comes in, and this could be like a type of guy that gets taken, 65th by Jacksonville and ends up being, like one of these other third round tackles you've seen, like David Bakhtiari, who ends up being like a top tackle at the next level. I think he has that ceiling. The concerns of the frame, I think, and the power he shows in the run game will make him slip in the draft. But for me, I'm bullish on this guy. I will have him probably as a top 55-ish player, something like that. I'm not certain about that. Maybe top 50. We'll see where he ends up. I'm rearranging my board right now. But I love the tape that I've seen from Kellen Diesch, and I'm not overly concerned about the frame question marks.
I am the low man on him. I just want to preference this real quick. I probably put him lower than I probably should have. I don't know. The frame really, really does scare me. And then just, I don't know. I didn't think he was as fluid in pass protection as maybe you were giving him credit for. Maybe I have to go back and watch him. But
yeah.
Either way, what's up?
I was gonna say, like, I like him a lot too. I have him OT7 with Nick, but also like that, and like the fact he's a 6-year senior and he still hasn't really put on the weight. It's like that's something that's keep in mind. But I'm also very bullish. Like, I was very impressed with Kellen Diesch's tape too.
So at number 7 on the list, we have Rhyan, the tackle from UCLA. Good size, good height. Originally, I thought he was a guard, but the more I watch him and after his combine, the more I do like him at tackle. Because I had some questions about his frame, because I thought he was a little bit small. I thought he was about 6'3" and a half, but he was actually way bigger than I thought. He's about 6'4" and a half, which is good height. 320, good weight. Tested out very well athletically. I believe he was, 87th percentile athlete, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I know he was in the 80s or the 90s. Tested as a very good athlete. I think he has a good thick build. I think he has good hand pop. I also think he has good hand placement. I think he has decent lower body strength. I think his upper body strength can use some work, but just like with most NFL rookie offensive linemen, their upper bodies are kind of weaker when they first get into the NFL. A good example of that is Elijah Vera Tucker. He kind of got bullied a little bit off the start because he was kind of weaker in the upper body. And towards the end of the year, he started to bulk up a little bit. And I'd imagine next season when he's bulkier, he's going to be able to handle NFL defensive ends a lot better. Just like Vera Tucker is most likely going to the same thing will probably happen with Rhyan. I also think he's very, very good at taking angles to get into the second level of the field. I think he blocks linebackers well. I think he also knows when to get into the second field, which is pretty important to me because some of the offensive linemen in the draft that I've noticed whenever they do get into the second level, they tend to bail a bit early, and it can affect them because some of the defensive linemen can get to the running back or the quarterback, whichever. Some of the weaknesses that I saw, just like I mentioned earlier, kind of weaker on the upper body, but that just give him time, he'll gain more strength. He'll be a lot better in the future. I also think he struggles sometimes at putting his hands in the right place every now and then. I think he has a good pop, but I think every now and then he'll kind of put his hands in the wrong spot and they'll get swiped away and defenders will be able to get past him. Other than that, nothing really too crazy about this guy. I think he's tested out very well. He has decent size. I think he has good pop. Just needs to gain a bit more strength in the upper body. And also another thing I didn't mention, his lateral quickness isn't amazing on the field. It's not amazing. It's not terrible, but I'm really not that too concerned about it.
Yeah, I like him a lot. All right, our number 6 offensive tackle in the 2022 NFL Draft is Washington State's Abraham Lucas, who I loved his tape. I've always been really high on Abraham Lucas, and I always had him as like a high second-round pick, maybe even late first-round pick. And I think he's really come around for a lot of people in this pre-draft process as a top 50 player in this draft because he has had maybe the best pre-draft process of any offensive tackle so far. I mean, he was stellar at the Senior Bowl. I was very, very impressed with his Senior Bowl performance. And then he goes into the Combine, and I thought he was like a decent athlete. I didn't think he was great. He tests out at 97th percentile, man. Like, this is a guy who is an absolute freak athlete. Ran a 5-second 40-yard dash and 1.69 10-yard split. That's elite numbers. 4.4 short shuttle, 7.2 5.3 cone. Like, those are all elite. And I love his tape because Washington State throws the ball more than most teams in college football. So he has got a lot of pass blocking under his belt, and he was very good as a pass protector. And Washington State, like I said, he's very battle tested there. He's got the really good length that you want to tackle. He's light on his feet, I think, too. The issue with him is that, again, we mentioned like we mentioned for Charles Cross, they throw the ball a lot, not a lot of run blocking reps. The difference between, I think, Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross was on the limited run blocking reps that we got for Charles Cross was impressive. It was just the issue is, okay, we got to see more. That's the only issue is we got to see more and more. Abraham Lucas on the limited reps he's got wasn't as impressive as I thought Charles Cross was. So run blocking, I think, will be an issue from the next level. He's not really like a murderer like you're going to see here for some other guys that are here in a little bit. But pass protector, like he's going to come in. He's got to work on his technique a lot. But he was very good at Washington State. I know it's the Pac-12, not the best Power 5 conference, but he was very good at pass protector, was very, very good at the Senior Bowl, and had an elite combine too. Like this guy, if he's not like a top 50 guy for you right at this point, like I don't know what we're watching, because I think Abraham Lucas might be the biggest winner of this pre-draft process for any offensive tackle.
Our number 5 tackle is a guy who actually tested very similarly, had just a .05 slower 40 time, but was a percentage higher on the athletic score. It's about 98, a little actually closer to 99th percentile. Bernhard Raimann out of Central Michigan, for some people, has become like, one of the top guys in this draft class. I don't think as much as Trevor Penning has become, but he's a guy who really has been a late riser. Struggled a little bit early this year. I think his transition, from being a tight end, adding a bunch of weight. He is from Austria. He is kind of new to the game of football. Clearly, it's been a development curve for him, and it's a projection for him if you are drafting with the next level to be your long-term answer at left tackle. And he has a lot of upside. We see the athleticism. We see what he can do in space. He has that tight end athleticism, that ability to get downfield in space and block, and create some power, in space. I think he really had to trust his technique early in the season, and he was able to do that. And that's what allowed him to develop as a player as the year went on. Has a solid anchor like his base. He adjusts well. He uses his vision well. I think early in the year, again, they made it a little bit simple for him. They allowed him to just kind of isolate, deal with whoever was across from him, not allow him to do a whole lot. And then eventually they start getting him out in space more. But again, this is a project, a guy who, for as early as he is a tackle prospect, for as little tackles he played, has really, really good feet, really, really good hands. I think the development curve for him has been so quick so far that you have to be interested in what he's going to be the next level. He probably ends up going in the first round because of that. For me, I'm kind of a little hesitant. I'm kind of got him as a high second because there are some plays on tape for me that are a little concerning. I think he, although he is a great athlete, sometimes in his normal pass sets, looks like he maybe isn't using his athleticism as well as he could be. But he certainly has put himself in a great spot in this draft class so far, especially with the combine performance that happened just a couple weeks ago.
Absolutely. And speaking of combine performances, we got to talk about this guy, Trevor Penning, tackle from UNI. Fantastic at the combine. Tested as, I believe it was a 99.5% athlete. Yeah. 6. Okay. So I'm always off, man. No, I'm always off.
That was pretty close.
I wasn't not trying to correct you at all. I thought you were guessing. I was like, all right, I'll just tell him because I have it right in front of me. That was good. That was actually your point 1. I wouldn't know that if I was looking at it.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I should type it down in my notes. That's once again, roll what I've said in the past many times, me not knowing anything. That's okay. Okay, but no, Trevor Penning, he was one of the most athletic tackles, or maybe the most athletic tackle at the combine. Like we said, 99.6% athlete. Also, what I mentioned back in the Tyler Linderbaum video, I know that's a bit of a throwback, but what I mentioned to that is Tyler Linderbaum had the highest PFF grade of any player in college football. Well, I was talking about true Division I. Trevor Penning, actually, out of all college football, had the highest PFF grade, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was in the 90s. 97s, I believe, 97.5, wow. Somewhere around there. And I know his run blocking grade because it's so easy to remember. He had a 99.9 run blocking grade. And yeah, you can make the argument he's going up against trash cans, but at the same time, that still means something to put up that kind of production. It means something. And to put another good example, Spencer Brown, he never had insane production. And actually, that's his teammate. He never had insane production, but he was just a freak athlete. Trevor Penning is a freak athlete, and he has absurd production.
Yep.
So that's what makes him. And also, he was okay at the Senior Bowl. He was better than Bernhard Raimann, in my opinion. Killed the combine, just like Bernhard Raimann did as well. I think him and Raimann have had similar draft season, progressions, I should say.
Mhm.
But I think Penning's been a bit better, and for me, he is a first-round grade. I have a late first-round. Actually, he's my last first-round grade I have. He's the last first-round grade on my big board. He's my OT4 in this draft. I like both him and Raimann, but I think Trevor Penning's ceiling is higher, and also he's a little bit younger than Raimann, and I do value that a lot because Bernhard Raimann is 25? Isn't he like a 25-year-old? 25 or 24.
So Penning's a 5th year, Raymond's a 4th year, but I think you're right where Raymond's like I think a little old for a 4th year. I gotta recheck that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to find ages on these guys every now and then. It can be a little bit difficult, but I think Trevor Penning has a slightly higher ceiling. He's a bit younger, so just like other guys have said in the past, I'll take the swing with this kind of fence, I guess. Just some strengths he has. He has a bully mentality, dude.
Yeah.
Like this guy bullies people in the run game, just like someone I'll get to in a little bit later in the video. This guy bullies people in the run game, and he's a great pass protector as well. Also, I think he just has such. How can I explain this? How can I explain this? Because I've never really seen it from an offensive tackle. He uses his hands differently than some tackles I've seen. Like, he kind of changes up how he uses his hands differently than most tackles. And when I say that, it's just like, listen, like, it could be that he's playing weaker competition, so it's a lot easier for him to get creative. But at the same time, it's just so much fun to watch. And I know, just like we said earlier, we shouldn't be saying this with offensive linemen, but he's fun to watch. He's really, really fun to watch. There's some offensive linemen in this draft that are really fun to watch. What are the downsides? He is a bit older at the position. He's kind of a project. I don't think he's as big of a project as Raimann, but I do think he is a bit of a project. I think his feet aren't really that good. I think he gets them too wide, way too much. I also think his pad level gets way too high every now and then, but these are things that can easily be coached up. It's not like anything like is wrong with him, like athletically or something like that can't be changed. Like, these things can be changed. So for the ceiling with this guy is absurd. And for me, even though he did go to a cupcake team and he played cupcake opponents, at the end of the day, I think he is a first-round pick, and he will be a first-round pick.
Not only that, Donnie, I've heard a lot of reports. This guy might be a top 10 pick.
Yeah. No, I think his floor might be like 9 at Seattle.
I've heard a lot.
I think the Panthers are all in. He's going to go before Charles Cross. Like, guaranteed.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I know. I don't believe it yet.
I don't
That's
love
why
it
I
either.
didn't say it.
No, I don't like it either. I don't like it either, but
that's where the league is.
Yeah, I've heard like the Giants at 7 is like a real option. Like, this
6.
guy, he is going to go high in the NFL draft. So yeah, Trevor Penning, really, I like Trevor Penning a lot, but I can't get on board with that.
Yeah, and just like I said, like the ceiling with this guy can be worth it.
Yeah, he's like you said, he's like a similar athlete to Spencer Brown, who was like a 100th percentile athlete, and but he's just a better football player.
Way better. Yeah, way better.
Yes, he's a much better football player.
He's fine this year for the Bills.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
I really did not like him as a prospect. I actually really didn't like.
Yeah,
I thought he was a bad pick when he got taken in the 3rd round. He's been fine for them. So take the better version of Spencer Brown. Maybe he'll be great.
Yeah.
Number 3 player. Still my number 1 tackle, Charles Cross. Going to be like the 4th tackle off the board, maybe 5th. I really don't know anymore.
No, there's no way. There's no way Raymond. There's no way Raymond goes.
Just the best film for a tackle in this draft, and he plays in the SEC, and also he didn't test in the 95th percentile, which is apparently like what you need to be a top 10 pick, because he only tested in the 81st percentile athleticism wise, which for me was enough. We knew that he was going to be good, not great, or really great, not amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. Like that's you're better than 80% of tackles, but. I needed to see him test like in the 50s, and then Neal or Ekwonu test in like the 99th for me to be like, okay, I'll move him down. Like 80s is like what I thought we had, and it's fine. Like, I'm all in on Charles Cross. We talked about, I said he's the best pass protector in this class. He's the most polished pass protector in this class. He hasn't played that much football either. Like, really, like he got thrown into the fire last year. Was pretty good for a guy who's getting thrown into the fire, but we needed to see a jump, needed to see him add some weight and still keep that athleticism. And this is the guy for me that checked all the boxes this year. He was as athletic as he was last year. He added the weight. He was more polished than he was last year and played better against better pass rushers in the SEC. Like, this was a better year for edge rushers, and a lot of the senior edge rushers he was going up against were really good, and he played really well. Like, he had like a pretty good game against Alabama and their hordes of pass rushers. Like, this guy to me is the safest pick at tackle in this draft class and will remain my number one tackle in this draft class until something crazy happens, which for me hasn't happened yet. But apparently the difference between 96th percentile and 81st is enough of crazy for the NFL to have this guy fall out of the top 20 picks or whatever. But here we are. I'm still banging the table for Charles Cross.
I love it. And he's barely worse than the guy who's number 2 on our list as an athlete. We'll just say that much. And yeah, I agree with you. Charles Cross, I said in my TikTok that I made about him, he has the highest floor by far of any tackle in this draft, I think.
Yes,
and,
yes.
We mentioned run blocking, which is fun to watch. But run blocking, is like, the more fun tape to watch. Pass protection is way more important, and there is nobody in this draft that is better at pass protection than Charles Cross. So I agree with you, Nick. I completely agree. He's by far the highest floor of any tackle.
And I think, wait, one more thing. I hate to do this. I hate to add, I don't like doing this, but it's kind of the baseball analytics. Like, we have medieval thinking about this is the whole the what's the movie Moneyball thing. Like, we see a guy push the guy an extra time on the ground, and we're like, that's great. I love that. It's like, but you didn't gain anything from that. He's already on the ground. Like, there's no difference really technically between a guy who decides to give one extra shove and the guy who just does his job.
Yeah,
love mean streak, but it doesn't actually change the outcome of football play that much. Just throwing that out there.
He's a good run blocker.
Because I think that's what this is coming down to. I think we're just NFL teams like to see guys who want to kill their opponents, which is great. I love it if you're going to kill your opponent. But
no, he gets the job done as a run blocker. He's just not a killer. But again, he gets the job done. So I think the issue that we brought up in our video, if you want to check it out. Our scouting report video, but we mentioned it's just reps. It's just Mississippi State doesn't throw the ball that much, or doesn't run the ball that much. Excuse me. So it's really just reps for Charles Cross.
Sorry, Donnie, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. People like I said before, people always like you when you talk. I get messages all the time about that. So there you go. So up next, number 2, my tackle one. It's funny, all of us actually have a different tackle one. My tackle one is Ikem Ekwonu, the tackle from NC State. Killer in the run game, kind of the opposite of Charles Cross. This guy will murder you in the run game. This guy will shove you to the ground. He'll punch you. He'll kick you. He'll spit on you. He'll throw you. He will do whatever it takes to make sure that you will not touch the guy who has the ball. And that's good. That's what you want. You want an offensive lineman to have that killer mentality that we've seen from some past really good offensive lineman prospects. A good example is Tevin Jenkins, also Mekhi Becton, Penei Sewell tried to kill people every now and then. Real quick, getting off topic, I saw a video of him, having a little beef with Aaron Donald, and that was the sickest thing ever. I love that, dude. Out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. And Ikem Ekwonu will do the same thing. He is going to fight people in the NFL. He will, like I said, he will shove you, kick you, push you, spit on you, do whatever it takes to make sure you don't touch the ball carrier. And he's going to do it at a very good level. His pass protection needs some work, but like I said, I think that can improve that can improve over time. Sorry, English is hard. I think that can improve over time. He's a very good athlete. He tested as an 83.1% athlete. Not that much better than Charles Cross, which I want to jump back to Charles Cross real quick. Are you sure that Trevor Penning's going to go over Charles Cross? That sounds absurd.
He might. Dude, I've heard top 10, and I don't know if Cross will go top 10.
I'm relatively certain of this at this point, actually. Yeah. I don't think Charles Cross is going to go that high in this draft.
I think Neal and Ekwonu are locked into the top 2. Penning, I don't think Raimann will go above him, but I think Penning has a good chance.
Top 2.
Top 2,
tackles. Yeah. Okay. I thought you meant top 2 picks. I was like,
no.
Excuse me.
Actually, dude, honestly, people have been pushing the Ikem Ekwonu to Detroit at number 2.
That makes no sense.
I hate.
That makes no sense.
I've come around on it a little bit more, but I don't really. I just don't think he's. I mean, I actually don't even have Ekwonu is my number 10 player. I don't.
Yeah, same.
He's my number 6, but I'm also higher on him than you guys, obviously.
But even then, take the better player.
Take the better player, and don't strengthening his strength is just not what Detroit needs, dude. You need to get players, dude. And the O line, like I said, they have a above average O line, which is all you need in the NFL.
It could be top 10. It could be top 10 next year. It could be.
Honestly,
I like Taylor Decker. Penei Sewell can be generational. Frank Ragnow, when healthy, top 3 center probably.
Yeah, Jonah Jackson is good too. Yeah.
Yes, I like Jonah Jackson. They have a good offensive line. Once you have to guard it too. You're not doing that.
He'll play guard too. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah,
he'll play guard. Yeah, we're getting off topic. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. This just needs to be said. Also, getting off topic, one more thing I will say: Malik Willis is going to be a Detroit Lion, and I'm calling it right now.
Yeah,
I've been saying
betting
this
favorite. He's the betting favorite right now to be number 2.
It's going to happen. I'm all in too. Like I'm all in. It makes so much
you
sense.
Want it?
Yeah,
yes, I want it.
On this.
All right.
I think it's fun. I think they have offensive pieces.
Sense.
I threw this out here a while ago. I was like, their offensive pieces are better than people think. They just got to draft one more receiver with pick 32. And you know what? We're cooking with something now. And they signed DJ Chark too. They had some pieces. Like I'm all in on this. Like let's do it.
Yes,
might as well.
Do.
Class sucks. Throw a dart. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. Right. Real quick. I just want to break it down just real quick, and then I'll get back to a corner. We're getting off topic, but nobody cares. I mean, we already explained the offensive line. It's a good offensive line. You have DeAndre Swift in the backfield, who I like. Amon-Ra St. Brown broke out last year as one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. He also has that nice versatility you like. DJ Chark, who they signed, get one more weapon with pick 32, and then you have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. Like I'm in. Take Malik Willis. Go with Dart.
My issue is the defense, but yeah, I mean. My issue is, like, I don't think you need to, like, I don't know, this year kind of proved to me, like, you know what, maybe, like, building a good roster is a way to become a good team because then you can find the quarterback. Look at the Broncos. They just got Russell Wilson. And a lot of other teams, like the Browns, I mean, hey, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but what quarterback is going to want to go, that's a veteran, go to Detroit?
I don't know if they're a good enough team, they could, and like I think Dan Campbell's a guy that a lot of people love now. So if they've built a good enough roster where they're like fringe playoff team without a quarterback, like I don't know, but I agree. I just don't think Malik Willis is worth the number. If he was, I would take him number 2 for sure. But I think he's like a top 10 pick maybe, but I don't know.
I mean, I don't think he's worth the number 2 pick, but at the end of the day, he is a quarterback. So
I mean, even as a quarterback, I mean, I have Howell still QB1. So even as a quarterback, I would take him top 10, top 15. I don't know.
That's fine. All right. Also, I have officially transitioned to Malik Willis QB1. Okay, let's get back to Ekwonu. Okay, so Ikem Ekwonu, just like I said, he's a mauler in the run game. Improve his pass protection. He can be a superstar. I think he gets off balance every now and then. Speed rushers can kind of kill him every now and then. He's fine against power rushers. Speed rushers can kill him every now and then. And there are a lot of those in the NFL, which something to maybe be scared about. But at the end of the day, this guy's still a top 8 pick, and maybe not a top 8, top 10 pick. I think he'll be a top 10 pick. And best run block in the class, and arguably one of the higher ceilings. I don't think it's as high of a ceiling as the guy that Max is going to get to, but I still have Ikem Ekwonu number 1.
That's fair. Yeah, he might still go number 3. I know they restructured Tulsa, but I don't know. The Texans are one of those teams I have no idea what happened, so they might still take a tackle at 3, and who knows who they like more. So we mentioned this. We still have an Ikem Ekwonu video as well, so make sure you guys go check that out. And we also have a video on my tackle 1 who ended up being a tackle 1 for the consensus, and it is Evan Neal, the Alabama offensive tackle who came in before the season as like his top 5 pick, slam dunk OT1, and he switched over to left tackle, and his tape was still pretty good, but there are issues, and you know, the more you watch prospects, you know, you kind of go into every year in the summer before the season, you're like, this guy is awesome, like there's no weaknesses, like, oh, whatever, like, because you think, oh, we'll just work him out. And then when they don't work him out, then you're like, okay, here are the holes. Here's what we got to fix. Evan Neal is kind of like one of those guys for me where it's like, all right, this guy's an absolute ridiculous athlete. And then I watch him more, and he just the tape was like good, but it wasn't great. I mean, he's a killer in the run game, but he's not as good as Ikem Ekwonu because Evan Neal it just plays off balance so much. He plays out over his toes so much, and defenders sidestep him. Like, it's impossible to go through Evan Neal because he's 6'7", 340 pounds, did not test at the combine, hopefully test at his pro day, because I really do think like he can challenge Trevor Penning for that 99.6 he's got right now. Evan Neal can really much challenge it because Evan Neal came in number 1 in Bruce Feldman's Freaks list. The reported numbers that we got for Evan Neal were absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping he tested his pro day because he could really solidify himself as OT1 if he does, in my opinion. But the tape, I mean, I think he's a great run blocker. Pass protection is where I have a lot of problems. Like his hand placements need a lot of work. Footwork and pass protection need a lot of work. And I just think he's got too much of a killer instinct where I think, like, again, like he plays out over his toes and he's looking to kill you. And every time I mentioned in our Evan Neal video, like I compare him to like a bull at a rodeo where it's like, if that bull hits the clown, it's over. And the clown being the defender, but the clown lifts up the red cape and sidesteps him like the defenders do all the time. He's falling on the ground, man. And Evan Neal has done that a lot in his career. So with all that to say, Evan Neal has by far, in my opinion, the high, well, not by far because of how good Trevor Penning tested, but he's got the highest ceiling, I think, in this draft at offensive tackle and probably in the draft in general. But the tape, there are a lot more holes than you might think for Evan Neal. And I think this guy has positional versatility, which is something that you really like to see. And also, you could explain away a lot of his negatives because he played left guard, then right tackle, then left tackle. So if you play him at 2 or more years at a position, maybe we'll just make a huge jump because he's learning that one position only. But if you need a right tackle, you can play it. If you need a left tackle, you can play it. If you even need to kick him side to guard, he's proven that he can play well there too. So when you start as a true freshman in Alabama on offensive line, where that is an absolute factory, that says a lot for me. And I know there are some issues, but I think Evan Neal just got a super high ceiling. I still think he's got a pretty high floor because I think a lot of the stuff that he needs to work on can be coached. I just would not expect him to come in day one and be an absolute superstar. I think down the road he can be, but he needs a lot of good coaching at the next level. So that is what we got for our top 10 offensive tackles in the 2022 NFL Draft. Of course, be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft. And like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on Apple, Google, Spotify, whatever. And that's what we got. So make sure you subscribe again. And that for Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons, I'm Max Chadwick. Have a great night.